Welcome to the Mental Insights Podcast. This is your host, Brennan Catuli, and we are here today with Wade Muhlhauser. And Wade is the founder of Plugged In Recovery, which is an organization that wants to provide resources, encouragement, and support for individuals who are struggling with addiction or behavioral health. And what Wade wants to try to do is offer awareness and resources towards this field. And he does that through social media and through speaking in person. So he has a lot of insight to share within the drug addiction field. And Wade, why don't you introduce yourself and tell a little bit more about what you're currently doing?
Yeah, Brandon. First of all, I want to thank you for offering to have me on your show. I really definitely appreciate it here and very grateful for the opportunity. And as you mentioned, my name is Wade Muhlhauser. I'm the founder and owner of Plugged In Recovery. And what Plugged In Recovery is really it's a community that we're trying to build out for outreach and resources and support, and then encouragement for anybody and their family who's struggling with addiction or behavioral health matters. That's why I jumped on this opportunity to be on your show is I really like what you're doing just for the entire community and what I've seen you doing through your social media platforms and the different types of guests that you have on. And all I really hope to do here today is share a little bit of my strength, experience, and hope and what I have going on with Plugged In Recovery, which is just offering those people a way out, and no matter what that looks like, whether it's anxiety, drug addiction, depression, trauma, because what we usually find is in the field of addiction, at least with my personal story and a lot that I come in contact with, is it's usually a combination of a few different things that lead us down the path of addiction, or addiction may turn into mental health matters or other things that are underlying as well. So what I'm just really trying to do is build a community of support network for people to be able to get plugged into and help them and their families have some kind of hope and against this battle against addiction.
That's great, Wade, and it's very commendable about the work that you do. I think meeting people like yourself provides a lot more motivation for my own self for what I do. So I definitely thank you for the work that you're doing and that you continue to do. And let's start back in the beginning and just speak about how you got into these fields, whether it's your personal experience or whether it was somebody around you. How did you see that there was importance to create change within these fields?
Absolutely. So I struggle with addiction, and had to battle this illness myself. And it's nothing that you one day magically wake up and you're recovered from. It's an everyday, it's a daily reprieve. And what I had found is that when I was struggling with addiction and through my opiate addiction after baseball and a little bit of trauma through a parent's divorce and bouncing from foster care to group homes and things like that, um, I thought it was normal. I thought it was normal to go to parties like this. I thought it was normal to do drugs I did. I thought it was normal to need weed to fall asleep at night. And I thought it was really the college scene. And one day I'd be able to stop whenever I wanted to. When I was ready to settle down, when I was ready to have a family, I'd be able to put the drugs away. Even though my entire history showed me that whether it was nicotine and chewing baseball or even the amount of coffee or anything that I drank, that I was never good at just stopping anything I did. But I truly had that belief. So along my path and my journey, my addiction just kept getting deeper with the opiate addiction that's out there. I went from just getting the oxys to when those were cut off to going to a harder drug when I couldn't find it, and really started feeling what these withdrawal symptoms people were talking about, but still was just delusional. Thought that, if I could motivate myself, if I could read the right book, if I could listen to the right speaker, that I'd be able to break free from these chains of addiction that were so tightly wrapped around me. And what I found is even by just attending a couple meetings, doing things like that I was pretty sure I could identify with being an addict. I still thought I was very unique. I didn't think I was like any other addict out there. But with me, I thought that I'd still be able to kick this habit when I truly wanted to. Fast forward a little bit, and I'm about to get married to the love of my life, the girl I've loved since ninth grade. And thinking the same thing is, as it comes closer to this wedding, I'm going to be able to really just I'm going to be able to kick it. I just need a weekend away here, or if I can go on a trip to Florida and Key West and just get away from it for a week, I'll be able to come back and stay clean. And the reality of the matter is, I go to Key West for a week and come back, and it's Easter, and I'm super sick, and I'm crying on my way to go pick up drugs because I know I can't stop. And sure enough, I finally reach out for help before the wedding. And I think it was a mixture of things that came together. I just kind of lost it and realized that how helpless I was in this, and how I didn't know which way was up, and struggling from this path. And I had seen it. I've had addiction runs in my family. But I guess I didn't know how deep it could get, or what that way out could possibly look like. And until I was ready to really throw up my hands and try to find these resources around me, I didn't have any chance at recovering. And then as Plugged In gets kind of played into this is, after trying to find resources out there, I really found that the game of addiction is to a lot of people just a game, and it's who's best at Google AdWords, and what companies out there can pay the most money for advertising, and the patient brokering side of things and things like that. But that really doesn't help the actual patient. There was no process to be like, hey, do you struggle from anxiety? Do you struggle from, are you a heroin user? Are you a meth user? Is it just alcohol? Do you just struggle from anxiety? They kind of just place you wherever your insurance will take you. And sometimes it's not a right fit for a person. And so what I had to do is along this path, and a few hard knocks along the way, and learning lessons and more experimenting to do, I had to actually get into this program and get plugged into the community around me and find those resources. And after doing so, I really, and I'm making it my life's mission to be able to do the same for other people.
First of all, thank you for sharing that. It's definitely, I think it'll show a lot more people that they are going through similar issues currently, and they were able to see that you got out of it. So I think that's such a positive step forward for them to hear. And I think it's great that you were able to take that negative that you were facing so long and change that into plugged in recovery, because it speaks so well in terms of how much of a positive you were able to create out of it, which is truly incredible to see. And I think something very important in terms of whether it's drug addiction or mental health, the problem really lies within knowing that you really are facing that problem and seeing it. So I really enjoyed how you said the tendencies that you were seeing within yourself that you couldn't just stop within, whether it was using drugs, alcohol, coffee, all of these things, you just couldn't stop. So why don't you speak more about kind of the tendencies that you were able to see to notice that you were struggling with an issue? Because I think that's one of the biggest problems, that people, whether they won't come to terms with their problem or they won't really see what is truly going on within their life.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's, again, and why I've kind of done with the what I call is starting this gray area podcast, because I do think it is a gray area, right? Every individual has to know for themselves whether they're an addict or not. And through my life, my entire experience, whether it was with sports, whether it was with women, whether it was with anything, I was addicted, right? Like, it would be all I could think about, all I could do. And deep down, I just wanted to normalize myself. I wanted to feel a part of, I wanted to think that the drinking in college, even though I was blacking out every night, was what normal. That's what college people do. And I think that there was this hole inside me that, and it was a God-sized hole that I kept trying to fill with anything else, right? That I thought would make it right, and I thought it would make me okay. And the fact of the matter is, it just made me more and more miserable. But when you talk about, and to get back to your question, was I think opiate addiction is really easy to see when you're addicted to, just because of the physical pain and the withdrawals and things like that you go to. And when you get past a certain point, you really just can't stop. but I can relate it to anything I did. Is I always was looking for the next thing that would make me feel okay inside. Whether that was I would get married and this is going to make me okay, or whether it's I get a house and that's going to make me okay, or if I get a new car and that's going to make me feel okay. And there was just these tendencies that I kept trying to fill these voids in my life with things that I was thinking that were going to make me okay. And I didn't even know at the time that it's okay to not be okay, right? I didn't. I just kept thinking that, well, maybe this is just a phase I'm going through and everything else. But whether it was smoking weed and I couldn't stop, or using before I was going places, and trying to be on the whole, well, weed's not bad, it's a medicine, it's herbal, that whole thing. And again, I'm not against anybody who smokes weed or anything like that. If it works for you and that's part of your recovery, that's your story to share. But anything I do, I will do in excess. And that goes with work, that goes with any tendency in my life. And so being able to try to really look myself in the mirror and say, why am I doing this? And why do I feel that I need to do this? The answer really kept being, I don't even know. I had no idea, and I had no idea why I couldn't stop. I had no idea. My disease had me so I was so delusional, I should say, that I really, until it got down, because right, like if I truly, the girl I was going to marry, I truly loved her with all my heart, and you get a lot of the family outcry and the well, if you really love the girl, why can't you stop? You'll stop for her. You'll stop for me for a week. The parents who are brokenhearted, just saying, if you really love us, you stop. We know the kid you are deep down. And you can have all the good intentions of the world, but when you're wrapped up into drug addiction, sometimes you can't see a way out. And I was grasping at straws and trying to hold the wheels on with duct tape, and you're seeing them fall off in front of you. And when you can see your life crashing in front of your eyes, I just want people to know that there is a way out, and there is hope out there. It takes getting thoroughly honest. There's a couple principles you have to go by. It takes getting thoroughly honest. It takes getting some hope. It has to have faith that things are going to work out and get better. And then it takes a lot of courage to look at yourself, look at your situation, take it for what it really is, and have that faith in front of you that things can get better. But I think deep down, if you know that your life could be better, or things could be better, then you might have an idea that some change needs to happen. And sometimes you might not know what that change is, and that's okay. You don't have to figure everything out in one day, and it's a daily process, and you're going to learn as you go. And it's crazy because I can tell you, 7 months ago from today, I was homeless, sleeping actually outside on a piece of cardboard in a state that I did not know, right? Holding a sign for money, and looking around and being like, how did my life come to this? And only 7 months later, I found myself in my car yesterday looking around and saying, wow, like I can't believe how my life has come to this. And so there's a lot of bright spots. There's going to be bumps along the way. There's going to be some things you got to go through, but every day is a learning day. And I can tell you my life is so much better today than it was then. And I'm so unbelievably grateful for that. And again, I just want to say grateful for everything people like you are doing in the community, because it's nothing I could do alone. I needed resources, but I had to get really honest with myself and be able to reach out and ask for help.
Thank you, Wade. That truly says a lot about who you are. And there's so much that I want to touch on, but first of all, just obviously, so I'm even grateful for where you were able to bring yourself today. I think it's so great that it shows that you were determined to create change within your life, and you made it through. And that's going to provide so much motivation for everyone listening today, because you were able to overcome not even one struggle or two, but you've countlessly faced obstacles within your life that you were able to overcome, which is absolutely incredible to see. And I think, to touch back on a point that you spoke about, is everybody around you could be telling you that you need to really create this change and you need to do something better within your own life. But in turn, it really comes down to how you want to really face your issues. And I think that it's so important that you make that step. So if you could speak about whether it was the change, the mental change within your own life of how you were saying, all right, I need to go seek a resource, whether it was